So today I want to talk about an issue that I see in the squat pretty commonly actually, and it's pretty hard to recognize and isn't addressed uh, a lot. And that issue is, well, it's actually three issues, but they're all sort of correlated. So the first one is a shift in the hips from one side or the other, so favoring one leg. And then that's often coupled with sort of a pelvic tilt, like a lateral pelvic tilt, right? And then also a twist starting at the pelvis, which sort of torques the back. And these three issues, you can see the squat here. These three issues sort of result in a off position pelvis. It's not a square, straight pelvis at the bottom position of the squat. And there's a few things happening. This sort of results in pronation of the foot, and that's also coupled with valgus knee fault, so that right knee is starting to cave in, and you can see my low back is sort of twisted. It has a sort of banana shape at the lower L spine. So yeah, and this actually created a lot of low back pain for me, and I've since then mostly fixed it. Here you can see this recent video from a couple weeks ago of a max front squat, and it's almost gone. It's still there. You can see these three issues sort of showing up, but it's much less than it used to be, and I want to talk about some of the things that I did to fix it. And to fix it, I sort of had to address the three problems and what was causing them. So in this, going back to the old video, you can see at the bottom position there's a very clear flexibility and strength difference between my right and left leg. My right leg is a lot more flexible, and my left leg is a lot more strong. So in getting more specific with flexibility, you can see that my knee is actually going a little more forward, and there's a lot more. I have a lot more ankle dorsiflexion in that foot, and probably some more hip flexibility as well, and that's allowing that right hip to get lower than the left. And so yeah, and you fix that by just working on your single leg hamstring stretches, glute, hip flexor, and quad, and you should be good. Now the other issue being the strength, so working on stuff like lunges, split squats. I really like the RDL, the single leg Romanian deadlift with a dumbbell or kettlebell or something like that. Anything where you're sort of getting those legs to be more or less even. And then the other issue I want to talk about is, or the other cause would be the midline's lack of stabilization. So you can see my midline, it starts good, and then it sort of curves, and in my abs, obliques, spinal erectors, their ability to stabilize the low back and pelvis is completely lost in that bottom position. So working on strengthening the abs and midline through stabilization is what's going to help that. So doing stuff like planks. I really like the single arm kettlebell hold. Let's see. What else? I think that's about it. Anything where you're taxing your abs, low back, and obliques through stabilization. So not stuff like crunches. We don't want to teach the low back how to produce force. We want to teach it how to transfer force, rather. So, and that's the role of the midline, is to transfer force and stabilize the low back so you can transfer force. Anyway, and then the other issue I want to talk about is just the bad habit. So we could have total flexibility, total strength balance, right, between our legs. We could have a super strong core that is able to stabilize the spine, but it's just simply not doing so because it's neurological, right? It's we have to train that psychological, like that motor pattern, basically, the brain's ability to tell certain joints when to move and how much to move, right? And the low back is a series of joints that we don't want moving, and the hips and knees are a series of joints that we do want moving during the squat. So just something like a pause squat where you're really focusing on the eccentric loading of the movement, and then coming back up with normal force. Anyway, so that's going to help you sort of relearn the movement pattern, and that would have the highest return on investment. So if you're going to spend time doing any one of these exercises, it would be that one for sure. Anyway, I hope it's been helpful, and thanks.